Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me very carefully. Anger is a thief. It robs you of your peace. It hijacks your focus. It drains your energy. And worst of all, it gives control of your life to the very people who have no business controlling it. But today we are taking that power back. Have you ever met someone who seemed unshakable? No matter what you said, no matter how others tried to provoke them, they never got angry, never reacted, never lost their peace. And then you wonder, how do they do it? Because if you're honest, there are days when just a single comment, a disrespectful tone, or even a simple misunderstanding can ruin your entire mood. But what if I told you that you never have to be angry again? What if I told you that nothing and no one should ever have the power to bother you unless you allow it? Let me give you something that will change your life. Anger is not about what they did to you. It's about what you allow inside you. You see, people do not control your emotions. They only reveal what's already inside you. If a bottle is full of clean water and you shake it, only clean water will come out. But if the bottle is full of poison, when life shakes it, poison spills out. So when someone offends you in rage, bitterness, or resentment comes out of you, the problem is not them. The problem is that something inside you was already contaminated. Now, let's go deeper. Why do people make you angry? The real reason is expectations. We expect people to treat us a certain way. We expect them to respect us, to be kind, to do right by us. And when they don't meet that expectation, anger rises. But let me set you free today. Expect nothing from people, but everything from yourself. TH7 keywords to an avian. I accept that people are imperfect, people are flawed. That is the reality of life. No matter where you go, no matter what you do, no matter how much you love, care, or trust, at some point someone will let you down. They will say the wrong thing. They will act in ways that hurt, betray, or frustrate you. But the real question is, why does it bother you so much? Most people walk through life with the expectation that others will always do the right thing, that they will be honest, kind, respectful, and fair. And when they don't, disappointment turns into anger. But here's the truth: expecting perfection from imperfect people is a guaranteed formula for frustration. It's like getting mad at fire for being hot, or getting angry at water for being wet. People will lie. People will be selfish. People will take more than they give. That's not a personal attack on you. It's human nature. Think about it. When a child spills a glass of juice, do you yell at them in anger? Or do you sigh, clean it up, and move on, knowing they didn't do it out of malice? In the same way, most people are just operating from their own flaws, their own pain, their own lack of awareness. They are not always trying to hurt you. They're just being them. And once you understand that, you free yourself from the emotional burden of taking everything so personally. When you accept that people are imperfect, you stop expecting an apology that may never come. You stop waiting for people to act in a way that aligns with your values. You stop wasting energy trying to correct behavior that is beyond your control. Instead, you learn to shift your perspective. You begin to see people not as obstacles to your happiness, but as teachers of patience, wisdom, and growth. Think about the person who cut you off in traffic this morning. For a moment, your blood boiled. How dare they be so careless? But what if that person just received devastating news? What if they were rushing to see a loved one in the hospital? What if their mind was clouded with stress? When you realize that people's actions are often a reflection of their own struggles, and not a personal attack on you, your entire mindset shifts. Look at history. Some of the greatest leaders of all time were betrayed, misunderstood, falsely accused, and mistreated. But they never let it poison their hearts. They understood something most people never do. Hurt people hurt people. When you truly grasp this, your anger disappears. You begin to operate with a level of wisdom and patience that most people only dream of. Now, let's bring this to your personal life. Maybe it's a friend who didn't show up when you needed them most. Maybe it's a family member who constantly disrespects you. Maybe it's a coworker who takes credit for your work. These things feel personal. But the moment you realize that people are simply moving based on their own level of awareness, you take the power back. You stop letting their actions dictate your emotions. Think about the last time someone made you angry. Did it solve anything? Did it change the situation? Or did it only drain you, distract you, and leave you feeling worse? When you make the decision to never get angry, to never be bothered by people's imperfections, you step into a new kind of power. A power that makes you untouchable. Because if people can't trigger you, they can't control you. And if they can't control you, you are free. A lion does not turn every time a dog barks. A king does not argue with a fool. And a person who has mastered their emotions does not waste their peace on things they cannot change. You cannot stop people from being who they are, but you can stop giving them the keys to your emotions. And when you do, you will know what it means to be truly unshakable. Understand that anger is a choice nobody makes you angry. Nobody forces you to lose your temper. Nobody has the power to control your emotions unless you hand them the remote. But too many people live as if they are puppets, as if their reactions are automatic responses to the actions of others. That is a lie. Anger is not a reflex. It is a decision. It is a choice you make every single time something happens that does not go your way. Think about this. If anger were automatic, why don't you get mad at everything? Why does the same situation that frustrates one person not even bother another? Why can someone insult you and you feel nothing one day, but the next day the same words send you into a rage? Because anger is not about the situation itself. It's about your interpretation of the situation. It's about your emotional state at the time. It's about what you allow to affect you. Let me show you something powerful. Imagine you are walking in the street and a man yells an insult at you from across the road. If you don't know him, if you have never seen him before, you might laugh, shake your head, and keep walking. Why? Because his words hold no meaning to you. But if the same insult came from your best friend, your spouse, or someone you respect, suddenly it cuts deep. Suddenly you feel offended. The words were the same, but your reaction changed because of the value you attach to the source. Do you see what's happening? The problem is never the insult itself. The problem is how much you allow it to matter. When you master this truth, you will never be offended again, because you will realize that anger is not about them. It is about you. A person with emotional mastery understands that no one has the power to control their peace unless they hand it over. You cannot stop people from saying things. You cannot control what they do. But what you can control is how much space they take up in your mind. What you can control is how you allow their words or actions to affect your energy. Let's go deeper. Have you ever seen someone lose their temper so badly that they did something foolish? Maybe they broke something valuable in a fit of rage. Maybe they said words that they could never take back. Maybe they lost an opportunity damaged a relationship, or even hurt themselves. All because in a single moment, they allowed anger to take the driver's seat. But hours later or days later, they calmed down. And when they looked back, they regretted it. They wished they had just walked away. They wished they had controlled themselves. But by then, it was too late. That moment of rage had already cost them something valuable. And this is why emotional intelligence is so powerful. When you understand that anger is always a choice, you will pause before reacting. You will stop yourself and ask, is this worth my peace? Is this worth my energy? Will this matter in a year? And 9 times out of 10, the answer is no. Great leaders do not react to everything. Wise people do not argue over nonsense. A powerful person is not the one who can shout the loudest, but the one who remains calm while everyone else is losing their mind. If you want to be respected, if you want to be admired, if you want to walk into a room and carry a presence of authority, learn to master your emotions. It is easy to get angry. Anybody can do that. But true strength, true power, that comes from discipline. That comes from knowing that you, and only you, decide how much something affects you. When you learn to stay calm in situations where others explode, you have already won. Because the moment you refuse to give someone control over your emotions, you have taken control of your own life. And that, my friend, is the ultimate power. Stop trying to change people. You cannot control people. You cannot dictate how they act, how they think, or how they respond. And yet, so many people spend their lives frustrated, angry, and disappointed because they expect others to behave a certain way. They expect people to treat them with the same kindness, the same honesty, the same loyalty that they give. And when it doesn't happen, they feel hurt. They feel betrayed. They feel like life is unfair. But let me tell you something. You will never find peace as long as you expect people to be something they are not. Think about this. Have you ever tried to change someone? Maybe it was a friend, a spouse, a coworker, or even a family member. Maybe you saw their potential and you believed that if they just made a few changes, they could be so much better. And so you gave advice, you pushed, you pleaded. You tried everything in your power to get them to see what you saw. But no matter how hard you tried, they stayed the same. Maybe they even got worse. And what did that do to you? It drained you. It exhausted you. It made you feel like you were hitting a wall. Because here's the truth. People do not change unless they decide to change. You can talk all you want. You can love them with all your heart. You can sacrifice. You can give. You can pray. You can beg. But if a person is not ready to change, nothing you do will make a difference. And the moment you accept this, you set yourself free. Let's make it real. Imagine you're walking in a park and you see a stray dog. It looks hungry, lonely, and in need of care. So you reach out to help it. But instead of gratitude, the dog growls at you. It snaps at your hand. It runs away. And you stand there confused. Doesn't this dog realize I'm trying to help? Doesn't it see that I mean no harm? But the dog does not see your intentions. It only reacts based on its past experiences. It does not trust. It does not understand. And no matter how much kindness you show, the dog will not change its behavior until it decides to trust. People are the same way. You may see their potential, but they only act based on where they are mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You cannot force growth. You cannot force healing. You cannot force wisdom onto someone who is not ready to receive it. And the more you try, the more frustrated you become. Look around you. How many people are carrying pain because they are waiting for someone to change. How many relationships have been destroyed because one person kept trying to fix another? How many sleepless nights have been spent wondering, why won't they just listen? Why won't they just change? But let me ask you something. What if you stopped trying? What if you accepted people as they are instead of waiting for them to become what you wish they would be? Now, let me be clear. Accepting people as they are does not mean tolerating disrespect. It does not mean allowing toxic behavior to remain in your life. No, what it means is understanding that you cannot control other people's actions, but you can control how much access they have to you. If someone's behavior is harming you, you have the right to walk away. You have the right to set boundaries. You have the right to protect your peace. But what you don't have the right to do is demand that they become something they are not. A fish cannot fly, no matter how much you teach it. A bird cannot swim, no matter how much you push it. And some people will never be what you want them to be, no matter how much you hope, pray, or try. And that is not your failure. That is not your burden to carry. That is simply reality. Think about how much peace you would have if you stopped expecting people to change. Think about how much lighter your heart would feel if you let go of the idea that it is your job to fix, rescue, or transform others. When you stop trying to change people, you free yourself. You release yourself from unnecessary pain, stress, and disappointment. You finally understand that the only person you truly have the power to change is yourself. And when you shift your focus from trying to control others to mastering your own emotions, your own reactions, and your own mindset, you step into a power that no one can take away from you. Develop emotional intelligence. Emotions are powerful. They can build you up or they can tear you down. They can open doors or they can burn bridges. They can bring peace or they can create chaos. But here's the truth most people don't realize. Your emotions do not control you. You control them. And until you understand this, you will continue to be a prisoner of every little thing that happens around you. Look at the world today. People are easily offended. Someone says something they don't like, and suddenly they explode. Someone looks at them the wrong way, and suddenly their whole mood shifts. One comment, one action, one minor inconvenience, and their entire day is ruined. But let me ask you something. Who gave them that power? Because the reality is, nobody can control your emotions unless you allow them to. Think about it. Two people can go through the same situation and react in completely different ways. One person gets cut off in traffic and spends the next hour fuming, cursing, replaying the moment in their mind. Another person gets cut off and doesn't even blink. They keep driving, focused on their destination. Same situation, different reactions. Why? Because emotional intelligence is not about what happens to you. It's about how you choose to respond. Let's make this real. Imagine you are carrying a full cup of coffee. Now, someone accidentally bumps into you and the coffee spills everywhere. What happened? The coffee spilled because that's what was inside the cup. If it had been water, water would have spilled. If it had been juice, juice would have spilled. The bump didn't create the coffee, it just revealed what was already inside. People are the same way. Life will bump you. People will push your buttons. Challenges will come. But what spills out of you is a reflection of what is already inside you. If you are full of anger, frustration, and negativity, then every little disturbance will bring those emotions to the surface. But if you are full of patience, wisdom, and emotional strength, then no matter what happens, you remain in control. This is what separates those who lead from those who follow. The difference between a powerful person and a weak one is not how much they can shout or argue. It's how well they can control themselves when everything around them is out of control. A lion does not waste its energy barking at every dog that crosses its path. A king does not stop to argue with fools. A truly powerful person is the one who can remain calm in the midst of the storm. Now, let's go deeper. How many times have you looked back at a situation where you lost your temper and thought, I wish I had handled that differently? Maybe you said something in anger that you later regretted. Maybe you let someone's words get under your skin and it ruined your whole mood. But after a few hours, after the emotion settled, you realized it wasn't even worth it. And that's the problem. Anger always feels justified in the moment. But when it fades, it leaves behind regret. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize that not every battle is worth fighting. Some things are simply distractions. Some arguments are just traps. Some people are only trying to provoke you so they can control you. And the moment you understand this, you stop reacting. You stop giving your power away. A person who cannot control their emotions will always be controlled by something or someone else. But a person who has mastered their emotions is unshakable. They do not waste their energy on things that do not serve them. They do not allow temporary emotions to make permanent decisions. They understand that their peace is too valuable to be sacrificed over minor inconveniences. So, the next time someone tries to provoke you, pause. The next time life throws something unexpected your way, breathe. The next time you feel the urge to react in anger, remember, you are in control. Because the strongest person in the room is not the one who shouts the loudest. It is the one who remains calm, focused, and unmoved, no matter what is happening around them. And when you reach that level of control, nothing and no one will be able to break you. Pause before you react. Most people live their lives reacting. Someone says something negative, and immediately they snap back. Someone does something offensive, and without a second thought, they explode. A situation doesn't go as planned, and instantly, frustration takes over. It's almost like they are on autopilot, allowing circumstances, people, and emotions to dictate their responses. But let me tell you something powerful. The moment you pause, you take back control. Think about this. Have you ever been in a heated argument where in the heat of the moment, you said something you later regretted? Have you ever made a quick, emotional decision only to wish you had taken more time to think? That's the power of reaction. It happens fast, without thought, and often leads to unnecessary damage. But when you learn to pause, when you give yourself even just a few seconds before responding, you interrupt the cycle. You give yourself a moment to shift from reaction to response. Let's make this real. Imagine you're driving and someone cuts you off aggressively. Your first instinct might be to honk, shout, maybe even chase them down to show them they messed with the wrong one. But what if in that split second you paused? What if instead of reacting, you took a deep breath and reminded yourself, this is not worth my energy. This is not worth my peace. Suddenly, that rush of anger loses its grip. Suddenly, you are back in control. Now, apply this to life. Someone insults you. Pause. Someone disrespects you. Pause. A situation tests your patience. Pause. That moment of stillness, that brief hesitation, gives you the power to decide, is this worth my energy? Is this worth my peace? And most of the time, the answer will be no. Let's take this deeper. Have you ever seen a wise person in a room full of chaos? While everyone else is arguing, shouting, throwing emotions around like wildfires, they sit there, calm, composed, unshaken. And because they are the only ones in control, they are the ones who hold the most power. That's what happens when you learn to pause before you react. You separate yourself from the noise. You elevate yourself above the drama. You gain clarity, wisdom, and control over any situation. Now, let me show you something even more powerful. Picture a bottle of soda. If you shake it up and immediately open it, what happens? It explodes. It spills everywhere. It makes a mess. But if you shake it up and let it sit for a while before opening it, what happens? The pressure settles. The reaction dies down. That's how emotions work. The more you allow yourself to react instantly, the more likely you are to explode. But when you pause, when you take a moment to breathe, you allow the pressure to settle. You stop the explosion before it happens. Some people spend their whole lives cleaning up the messes they made in moments of uncontrolled emotion. They destroy relationships, break opportunities, and create unnecessary problems, all because they never learned to pause. But when you pause, you give yourself the ability to respond with wisdom instead of regret. Here's the truth. Not everything deserves your reaction. Not every comment requires your response. Not every situation is worthy of your energy. The greatest power you have is the ability to decide what deserves your attention and what does not. The moment you pause, the moment you take that brief second to breathe and think, you shift from being controlled by emotions to controlling them. And when you reach that level of self-mastery, no one and nothing will be able to disturb your peace. Stop seeking validation from others. Too many people go through life searching for approval, craving validation, waiting for someone to tell them they are good enough, worthy enough, talented enough. They measure their value based on the opinions of others, constantly looking for a pat on the back, constantly chasing a compliment, constantly adjusting who they are just to fit into the expectations of people who may never even see their true worth. But let me tell you something powerful. The moment you stop seeking validation from others, you set yourself free. Think about this. Have you ever felt the need to prove yourself to someone? Maybe you worked extra hard just to impress a boss who never seemed satisfied. Maybe you changed your personality just to fit into a group that barely acknowledged you. Maybe you sacrificed your own happiness just to keep someone else happy, hoping they would appreciate you more. And in the end, what did it give you? Frustration, exhaustion, disappointment. Because no matter how much you give, some people will never give you the validation you seek. Here's the truth. Some people will never clap for you, no matter how great you are. Some people will never recognize your value, not because you aren't valuable, but because they are too blind, too insecure, or too self-absorbed to see it. And if you spend your life waiting for their approval, you will always feel like you are not enough. But the moment you realize that your worth is not defined by their opinion, let's make this real. Imagine an eagle soaring high in the sky. It does not stop flying just because the pigeons on the ground do not admire its wings. It does not lower itself just because the crows do not like its height. It flies because it was born to fly. It soars because that is its purpose. And whether or not anyone claps for it, the eagle remains an eagle. Now apply this to your life. You are not here to be liked by everyone. You are not here to fit into someone else's expectations. You are not here to live a life based on what will get you the most applause. You are here to be who you were created to be. And if that means standing alone, if that means walking a different path, if that means disappointing people who wanted you to stay small, so be it. Because true confidence is not found in validation. It is found in knowing your worth even when no one else does. Think about some of the greatest minds in history. They were criticized, doubted, misunderstood. They were told their ideas were too crazy, their dreams were too big, their vision was impossible. But imagine if they had listened. Imagine if they had waited for approval before stepping into their greatness. The world would have never seen their genius because they would have buried it under the weight of other people's opinions. Now let's take this even deeper. Why do people crave validation? Why do so many spend their lives chasing approval? Because deep down, they have not yet approved of themselves. They have not yet accepted their own worth. And when you do not see your own value, you will always look for someone else to give it to you. But the danger is this. If someone else has the power to give you your worth, then they also have the power to take it away. And that is too much control to give to another human being. A lion does not need a sheep to tell it that it is a lion. A king does not need a crowd to confirm that he is a king. And you do not need anyone's permission to walk in your greatness. The moment you realize this, you stop chasing, you stop begging, you stop bending yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. And that is the moment you become truly unstoppable. Learn to let things go quickly. Too many people walk around carrying the weight of things that no longer serve them. They hold on to offenses, grudges, disappointments, and betrayals like they are treasures, replaying painful memories over and over again, as if doing so will somehow change the past. But here's the truth. Holding on to pain does not hurt the person who caused it. It only hurts you. While you are stuck in bitterness, they have moved on. While you are losing sleep over what they did, they are resting peacefully. While you are allowing their words and actions to poison your mind, they are living their life completely unaffected. So, the question is, why are you still holding on? Imagine you are carrying a heavy backpack. Inside this backpack are rocks, each one representing a grudge, a painful memory, an offense you refuse to let go of. At first, it might not feel so heavy. You think you can manage. But as you keep walking through life, the weight starts slowing you down. It drains your energy. It makes everything feel harder than it should be. And all the while, you have the power to drop the bag. But instead, you keep carrying it, believing that somehow, holding on to the pain makes you stronger. But strength is not found in holding on. Strength is found in letting go. It takes strength to release the past. It takes power to decide that you will not allow what happened to you to define you. It takes wisdom to understand that carrying bitterness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Think about how much lighter your life would be if you simply let things go quicker. If you refuse to allow small offenses to steal your peace. If you stop giving people power over your emotions. If you trained yourself to release rather than retain. Every time you let go, you make space for something greater. Every time you release resentment, you invite in more joy. Every time you forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace, you take another step toward freedom. Look at nature. A tree does not hold onto its dead leaves. When the season changes, the leaves fall effortlessly, making room for new growth. But some of you are clutching onto dead leaves. Relationships that ended, words that were spoken years ago, situations that can never be changed. And as long as you keep holding on to them, you leave no room for new blessings, new joy, new opportunities. The key to peace is learning to let go quickly. The faster you release negativity, the faster you reclaim your joy. The faster you forgive, the lighter your heart becomes. The faster you stop rehearsing the past, the more freedom you experience. You cannot change what happened. You cannot rewrite the past. But you can decide not to let it rob you of another day of peace. The real question is, how much longer will you carry something that is only weighing you down? Because the moment you decide to drop the burden, you will realize we're never meant to carry it in the first place. There comes a moment in life when you must decide, will you let your emotions control you, or will you master them? Because the truth is, life will not always be fair. People will disappoint you. Friends will betray you. Strangers will disrespect you. And situations will not always unfold the way you planned. But hear me clearly. Your power is not in controlling what happens to you. Your power is in controlling how you respond. Some of you have spent years reacting to everything, letting people's words dictate your mood, allowing circumstances to determine your peace, giving away your joy to things that don't even deserve your attention. But the moment you wake up and realize that you are the master of your emotions, everything changes. No more losing sleep over what they said. No more wasting energy on situations that don't deserve a second thought. No more allowing anger, frustration, and resentment to build up inside you like a poison. You were not created to be a slave to your emotions. You were created to rule over them. Look at the most powerful people in the world. The real leaders, the real game changers. Do you see them getting offended by every little thing? Do you see them breaking down every time someone disrespects them? Do you see them wasting time reacting to negativity? No, because they understand that time is too precious. Energy is too valuable, and emotions are too powerful to be wasted on things that don't matter. They walk into a room, and their presence demands respect, not because they react to every insult, but because they rise above it. And that is what you must learn to do. Rise above. When they try to bring you down, rise above. When they throw negativity your way, rise above. When they expect you to react, to lose control, to give in to frustration, prove them wrong and rise above. Because the one who stays in control is the one who holds the power. The one who refuses to be bothered is the one who truly wins. You see, anger is easy. Frustration is easy. Reacting is easy. But mastering yourself, that's the real test. When you reach a place where people no longer have the power to upset you, offend you, or shake you, that's when you know you've won. That's when you know you've elevated. That's when you know you've stepped into a different level of wisdom, discipline, and greatness. Let me tell you something about truly powerful people. They don't chase arguments. They don't waste time proving points. They don't respond to every little thing that comes their way, because they understand that not everything deserves a response. Some battles are won by walking away. Some victories come through silence. Some fights are beneath you. And the moment you engage, you lower yourself to a level you were never meant to be on. So, the next time someone tries to trigger you, the next time a situation tests your patience, ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Is this worth my peace? Is this worth my time? And if the answer is no, then let it go. Let them talk. Let them think what they want. Let them do what they do. Because the truth is, what they say does not define you. What they do does not shape your destiny. The only thing that matters is how you choose to respond. You were created to be unshakable. You were built to be untouchable. You were designed to walk through life with a peace so powerful that no words, no actions, and no negativity can disturb it. And when you step into that kind of power, when you learn to never let anyone or anything get to you, you will realize that true strength is not found in fighting every battle, but in knowing which ones are not even worth your time. I challenge you today. Decide that no one will control your emotions except you. The next time someone tries to provoke you, smile. Stay calm. Keep your peace. Because the moment you master your emotions, you become unstoppable